Hello dear students, welcome to online sessions class 7 science. In today's video, we will start with the chapter number 1, that is the living world, adaptation and classification. Before start the chapter, let us revise here some previous part. First we will see what are living organisms, what are livings. So friends, the organisms which shows the specific characteristics like responsiveness to stimuli, like processes, movement, growth. So the organisms which shows all these characteristics, they are said to be the livings. They are said to be the living organisms. And we know that the variety of living organisms are present on the earth. There is a vast diversity among the living organisms in the world, and that diversity is said to be the biodiversity that we have studied in the last standard. Then we know that living organisms, these are useful to us, some living organisms harmful to us, and to know them, to study their characteristics, it is necessary to classify all that living organisms. Means there is the need for the classification of all the living organisms. And in this chapter, we are actually going to learn about the classification of living world. And one more important point that we are going to learn here, that is the adaptation. So let us start the chapter with first point, that is adaptation. Let us see what is an adaptation. We know that millions of species of plants and animals are present on the earth. If we take just plants, the plants are differ from each other in their size, shape, their height, arrangement of their leaves, bearing of flowers, bearing of their fruits. Same thing happens in case of animal too. Animals are also shows the difference in case of size, shape, height, color of skin, arrangement of their body part, and different methods, different life processes. So in this way, the variety or the diversity is present in the living organisms. So question arises that why there is a vast diversity or why there is a big difference between all that living organism. Why variety of living organisms are present on the earth? It is only due to the process of adaptation. Now we will see what is adaptation. So friends, adaptation, it is just a change in the body part or inside the body of any living organism to survive different conditions, and it is properly defined as the gradual changes occur in the body part and behavior of an organism to adjust their surroundings, and such process is said to be the adaptation. Let's take here example. Body part. How the body part of any animal or any plant changes due to the adaptation. Let's take here example of snowy region animals. We know polar bear and yak, these are the snowy region animals, and they bear a number of hairs on their skin. So the presence of large scale hairs on their body, it is the change occur in their body part due to the adaptation to survive their snowy surrounding. Same thing, let's take example of plant. We know desert plants, and these desert plants bearing pines on their skin or pines on their stems, leaves. Okay, so to avoid large scale evaporation, these desert plant that containing or that bearing pines on their bodies. So this is the change occur in the body part of the plant due to the adaptation to survive in desert conditions. So in this way, the body parts are changes. So the process of adaptation takes a large time span. Means it takes a large time period to change in the body part or in the bodies of animals as well as plants. Now it is about the body parts changes. Now how the behavior of any organism changes. Let's take here example of our human beings. nowadays our behavior is getting changed due to the COVID-19. Our behavior is changed. How it is? So we are not going out, we are just staying at our homes and washing hands always and always. So in this way our behavior is changes. Why it is changes? To fight against the virus. So in this way this type of behavior is changes due to the adaptation to survive with the virus or in the conditions of virus. So in this way, in the process of adaptation, the changes occur in the body parts as well as the behavior of any living organism to adjust to survive with their surrounding, with their environment, with different type of conditions. Such process is said to be adaptation. And in this process, in this chapter, we are going to learn in detail about the adaptation in plant and adaptation in animals. Now we will see next point of the chapter, that is adaptation in plants. If we go through different geographical regions like desert, forest, grassland, aquatic region, we can see the great variety among the plants. Let us see first of that is the adaptation in aquatic plants. So first, what are aquatic plants? The plants which are grows in the water or on the water. Such type of plants are called as aquatic plants. And lotus, hydrilla, ecornia, these are the example of aquatic plants. Let us see how the parts of these plants are adapted to live inside the water or to grow in the water bodies. Okay, see here, in this water body different plants are present. So according to the presence or position of part of the plant, again these aquatic plants are divided into three types. Okay, so you can see here three types of plant. First, see this. The roots of this plant are totally dipped into the soil at the base of water body. So such type of plant are said to be the fixed rooted aquatic plant. Now this plant, if you see this plant, it is totally, the roots and leaves of this plant are totally floats on the water. So these plants are said to be floating plants, floating aquatic plants. Now come to the next. This is lotus. Well-known example is lotus. So if you see the roots of this lotus plant are deep into the soil, stem it is floating inside the water, and leaves and flower, these parts are floating above the water. So such type of plants, such type of aquatic plants are said to be submerged aquatic plants. Now as these are totally dipped into the water, they are adapted to live continuously inside the water. They are not getting destroyed due to continuous presence into the water. They are adapted to survive in the water bodies. Let's take here example. Suppose we have some vegetables in our home, and if we kept all that vegetables in the water continuously, then that vegetables are get totally destroyed because they are not adapted to live inside the water. But this thing does not happen in case of this plant, because this type of plants are adapted to live inside the water. Now come to the next, floating plants. Okay, so their roots are not connected to the soil. These are floating, leaves are also floating. So they are adapted to live on the water bodies, means to float. They are not affected by the flows of water. They are not affected by the flows of water. So that the arrangement of leaves and root are like this. Okay, so the leaves are like spiral like structure, or they are having spiral like structure. Due to that arrangement of leaves, they are flows with the water. Okay, they are flows with the water. They are not getting destroyed. Now come to the next, that is lotus. Okay, so the stem of lotus is totally present inside the water, but leaves and flower, they are floats above the water bodies, and roots are fixed. If we see their stem and leaves, they are containing more air inside the vessels of leaf and stem. Okay, means large vacuoles are present in the vessels of these leaves and stems. Why it is present? Because it wants to float on the water, so that they are containing large numbers of vacuoles inside their vessels. Also, the leaves are containing the waxy layer for floating on the water. Okay, so these adaptations are present in the lotus plant. Okay, so in this way aquatic plants are adapted to survive in the water bodies, survive in this type of conditions. Now come to the next, adaptation in desert plants. Now here you can see two types of desert plants. We know that the desert region where a large amount of heat is generated. So to avoid large scale evaporation, the leaves are not present on the desert plants, or we can say the leaves are converted, the leaves are changes into the needle-like structure, or leaves are changes into the pines. See here, these are needle-like structures on these plants. We can say these are plants, or we can say these are leafless, but they are containing pines on it. So as there are no leaves are present, who carries the role of photosynthesis? Who perform the role of photosynthesis? The answer will be the stem of desert plant. They are performing the role of photosynthesis. Okay, so as leaves are converted into needles, leaves are converted into pines, the evaporation is very less evaporation takes place here. Then as the root stems are containing photosynthesis here, so they store food and water inside them, so it looks green in color as they are performing photosynthesis, and as they are storing food and water, so these are fleshy, these are soft. Now come to the roots. Roots of these plants are deeply rooted or deeply deeply inserted in the soil in search of water. Understand? So in case of root, stem and leaves, these type of adaptations are present in the desert plant. Now our next point is adaptation in snowy region plants. So snowy region plants. We know this snowy region where the extreme cold is present. Always and always heavy snowfall takes place there. So that the arrangement in the snowy region area, the plants are like this. They are having the conical shape, and the branches of the snowy region plants are sloping branches. They are the sloping branches. So why these are having sloping branches? Because always and always the snowfall takes place there. So to avoid the accumulation of snow on the parts of plant, they are having this type of branches, slopy branches. Due to that slopy branches, the snow is not accumulate on the parts and it comes down to the another surface, so that the conical shape and slopy branches, these are the adaptation for the snowy region plants. So well-known examples of these plants are deodar and pine. Come to the next type, that is adaptation in forest plants. We know the forest is the great varieties of plants. It is having the dense area. It is a dense area for the plants. Trees, shrubs, climbers, large trees, huge trees are present in the forest region. Okay, so in this way the arrangement of trees, shrubs and climbers is also present there. So this is the structure showing climbers which are present on the stem of another tree for getting the food. Okay, and height of plant. See here, the height of plant is very large. Why the trees are very tall in the forest? Because to getting the sunlight, they are grow more and more, so that the plants in the forest region, they are having or they are the tallest plants. Okay, so these adaptations are present in the forest plant to getting sunlight. Okay, so this is about forest plant and snowy region plants. Now next type of adaptation is the adaptation in grassland plants. So if we see the grassland plants, they are having fibrous root. Okay, so this type of root are avoid the soil erosion in grassland habitats. Okay, so some animals like rabbit, tiger, these are present in grassland regions and they are hide in this type of grasses. So they are having only fibrous roots to avoid soil erosion. Okay, so come to the next type, that is adaptation in plants for the ingestion of food. For the ingestion of food, this is very important type. Now we know that plants are autotrophic. Mostly all the plants are autotrophic in nature because they perform their own food. They perform own food with the process of photosynthesis. But some plants, they are not performing photosynthesis. Some examples are here. Cuscuta. Okay, Cuscuta, this plant is having yellow wire-like structure, and as it is yellow, there is an absence of chlorophyll pigments. So it is not performing photosynthesis. It depends for food on another host plants, like this way. This spiral-like structure, it is the Cuscuta. Okay, which is depends upon another host plant in this way. So for the ingestion, this type of adaptation takes place in the plants. Okay. Now next example is fly trap. This is the name of plant, fly trap. This type of plants, generally we know that the plants are necessary phosphorus, nitrogen, potassium for their growth. So this fly trap plant is absence of nitrogen. They are not producing nitrogen. So for getting nitrogen, they are depends upon the insects. They are depends upon another flies. Okay, so that they are having structure like this, and inside that structure they traps insects. So they are said to be fly trap. For the ingestion of food, for getting nitrogen, they are adapted for this type of conditions. Now next example is fungi. We know fungi, these are the types of plant. They also does not make their own food, and to get the food they are depending upon the materials like chapatis, bread, etc. They grow on this type of material for the ingestion of food. So in this way the adaptation in plants takes place. This is very important point that we have done here. In the next video we will see about the adaptation in the animals. Till then, thank you.